Yeah, g'day YouTubers, Tinker O'Toole with another video. Hope you enjoy the video today. Please subscribe to the channel. Any comments, thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Yeah, g'day YouTubers, Tinker O'Toole again with some cutting performance video. What we're going to do today is cut through this yellow gum. I don't know, it's about 8-9 inches in diameter, so it's fairly long. So I've got two saws. I'm just going to test my little MS 180C. It's full chisel chain. It's 050 gauge. I've got a 16-inch bar on it, so it's only 32 cc's. What I'd like to see, just out of curiosity, how long it's going to take to cut through that log. Brand new chain. When I say brand new, it's all been sharpened, rake is all set, ready to go, sharp as a razor. 10 degrees downward tilt. So we're going to just see how long this takes. It's going to take a lot longer. Then we're going to use the MS 311, which is almost double the size in cc's, which is 59 cc's. And we're going to try full chisel, with 10 degrees tilt, full chisel with no tilt. Then we're going to try semi-chisel, and someone asked me, can I do semi-chisel with 10 degrees tilt, just to see what the difference is. So we're going to do that, and it's just going to be interesting to see what happens. So here we go. Well, that wasn't too bad. It felt good. That's not too bad for a 32cc saw. And I was telling people that I put a 050 gauge on that because the standard gauge is 043. And they're saying, oh, you know, it'll affect performance. So that's not too bad as far as I'm concerned. That cut through there pretty good. I don't know what the time is, but I could feel it good, and I was hardly putting any pressure on it, because if you put a bit of pressure on it, when you've got a razor sharp chain, it'll bog down. So I could just start to feel it bog down, and I had to back off any pressure that I had on. The settings that I was using is 30 degrees top plate angle, and the top plate cutting angle, which is the angle that the grinding wheel comes in at, is 60 degrees. We're running a 3/8 standard profile. So now we've got the MS 311. On the previous cut on the MS 180C, it was about 19.8 seconds. So that wasn't too bad for a little saw. I don't think we're going to cut this in 10 seconds. It doesn't work that way, just because you've got double CC. So I would still expect it, look, it could be around the 13-second mark or something like that. The timber isn't really hard. It's probably only cut about a month ago, so it should cut through pretty good. Anyway, let's find out and see. And after this, as I said, we'll do the next test, and that will be full chisel with no tilt. Well, that felt good. I don't know, it might have only been 12 seconds or 13 seconds, but it felt pretty good. The saw cut through that effortlessly, so I guess we'll check the times on that one, and on to the next one. Yeah, okay, so what we've done we've sharpened the full chisel chain with no tilt. Now yesterday when we did that, we had an increase in time. Now I just went and had a look at the last video shot that I took. Incredible, 7 point something seconds. So that's pretty good. I wasn't expecting it to cut that quick. So let's see what this can do, whether we can equal around 7-8 seconds. Well, it felt good, so I guess we'll check the times and compare the two, and yeah, be very interesting to see. Wow, well, those results were very interesting, because if you actually look at it, there's virtually no difference in it. In actual fact, the full chisel with no tilt actually slightly beat the full chisel with tilt. It's just that there was virtually nothing in it, but fraction of a second, which is what I was actually hoping was going to happen, that there was not going to be any difference in cutting, because now I'm not going to use 10 degrees downward tilt. When I did it yesterday, look, maybe I didn't sharpen, or maybe the wood, one part of the wood had been a bit harder or something, but as I said, anytime you do a test result, when I actually worked in the laboratory, on one particular test, we did 7 tests, and we disregarded our highest number and we disregarded our lowest number. So then the 5 we would take an average of, and that was our test. So if we got some way out number, we just repeat it. And that's what I wanted to do here, because the numbers I got yesterday were way out. Now I'm going to do something crazy. Someone actually asked me, they said, why don't you do one on a semi-chisel? I thought, why not? What have I got to lose? So I've got a semi-chisel with 10 degrees tilt on it. So I'm going to use that. We'll do a time on it, and then we'll resharpen it without no tilt. So we'll see what difference that makes, if any. I don't know what the time on that was, but I can tell you what, it felt good. Certainly felt beautiful and smooth and cut through really good. So I guess we'll see what the time is on that. And we'll just do another test with the semi-chisel with no tilt. That was 10 degrees downward tilt on a semi-chisel. Well, that field pretty much same as the other one, so I don't think there's much in it. So we'll see what happens, get the times, and come back with a conclusion. Well, that was it. There wasn't much difference in the semi-chisel between standard grind and 10 degrees downward tilt on semi-chisel. Someone asked me to do it, so I did it. And I'm happy to even report on the full chisel. There was virtually no difference between full chisel that was 10 degrees downward tilt and full chisel that had no tilt. Now, that's not to say that was on my chain. Now, if I was to buy a steel chain or a Oregon chain or a Husqvarna chain or some other brand that do recommend 10 degrees downward tilt, you might find that cutting performance may be a little bit different. Now, interesting enough, between the full chisel and the semi-chisel was around about the 10-11% mark, which is what you'd expect. I'm not trying to get results for a race. I'm just trying to, for my own peace of mind, prove a fact that what I was really interested in was what difference is there between 10 degrees downward tilt on the chain that I'm running. Now, the chain that I'm running is called Hurricane chain. For those people in Australia may have heard of that, from Jono and Jono in Ballarat. It doesn't seem to stretch any more than any other chain that I've ever used. It is about 3 times cheaper than a steel chain. I've got lots of steel chains that in my collection, and I've got no problems with the Hurricane chain. So as far as the 10 degrees downward tilt on the Hurricane chain, it made virtually no difference whatsoever. And on the semi-chisel chain, which was a steel chain, it virtually made no difference either. We're talking fractions of a second. Fractions of a second could be the difference how I grind the chain. Typically when I grind a chain, I have to always check the depth gauges, as what I did on there. So for those out there that are thinking a 10 degrees downward tilt, I could only comment on the Hurricane chain. I haven't done the test on the steel full chisel, but I sort of suspect that if the geometry is pretty much the same on most chains out there, and it generally is, unless it's something specific like an X cut or a or on the steel it's called hexacut, and on the Husqvarna it's X cut. They look very similar. The geometry of the tooth, of the standard full chisel tooth, looks very similar. It's only the actual cut. So, you know, you can play around with angles, but I guess the thing is 30 degrees top plate for me, because I tried 25 degrees and I found out it was a little bit slower. So 30 degrees is fine. I am cutting hardwood. I am getting good results. I think if you can cut through that piece of timber that in 7 seconds with a full chisel chain, that's pretty good. And that's doing it for about 3 hours. I did that today for, and it wasn't blunt. So if you can use a full chisel chain for 3 hours and it hasn't gone blunt, I wouldn't complain about that. And if you were to look at, and we'll see if we can get in there and see that, they're the chips that I was getting. As you can see there, it's not so, they're nice chips. So that's what you'd expect on this type of wood. This type of wood will give you that type of result. And look, for those out there that are thinking of using the 10 degrees downward tilt, personally I'd probably just stick with what the manufacturer recommends. If the manufacturer don't recommend it, don't do it. I haven't proved on the Hurricane chain that it does virtually no difference whatsoever. So that was the result that I was hoping to get. So I'm happy with that result. I'll probably no longer use 10 degrees downward tilt because I cannot see any benefit whatsoever. Thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up, and comments are welcome. And that's probably going to be the end of comparing one chain against another chain, or one angle against another angle. It's a lot of work to grind, and yeah. Thanks for watching.